Good morning. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject which I think is very apropos. The topic of why do our kids today feel so entitled? I've been, over the last months, something happened, and many parents have turned to me and started telling me a little about the problem that they find in the house. We find our children could be on a cell phone the whole night. It's possible for a child to spend countless hours going to sleep eventually at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning after a whole night of watching this and watching that and so on and so forth. And the work is not a work. The consciousness is no consciousness. And afterwards, these same kids, which live many times like slobs and expect that the mothers, the cleaning lady, or anyone in the house should be there to fulfill their needs. And just like at the click of a button, they can do this and buy whatever they want on daddy's credit card. They expect that after such an attitude and after doing all the wrong things, they expect that mommy and daddy are going to pay for their cleaning fees, and they're going to pay for everything, and they're going to take care of everything. They're going to clean up after me. What is happening with this generation? There's something wrong. So the answer, hopefully, we'll discuss very soon. But I will start with an element of answer. Motivation. One day, I met a rabbi, a very special rabbi in Israel, a good friend, Rabbi Ben Sion Grossman, and I asked him, Rabbi, what do you do with kids which are lazy? What is the cure to laziness? He looked at me and he said, Shy, I'm very surprised at your question. Haven't you learned Chassidut? Haven't you learned Tanya? Don't you know that laziness does not exist? I said to him, oh boy, come to my house. I want you to see my adolescent kids, and I will tell you that laziness does exist. So don't tell me it doesn't exist. He said, there's no such thing as laziness. What happens is that there's a lack of motivation. There's a lack of what we call ta'anug, pleasure. Why is it that that same child, which is so lazy to clean his room and to do whatever you ask them to do, how is it possible that that same child, when he needs to go to California or to Hawaii, or he needs to go to the game, suddenly he has energy, he wakes up early, he's ready to do whatever he needs to do. Oh, now you have energy. But when it comes to do the basic obligations of just a human being, forget being a child here, just being a normal person that lives in society in a normal way, going to sleep on time, waking up on time, cleaning after yourself, brushing your teeth. I mean, just basic obligations, respecting your parents. No, for that, you don't have energy. What's the difference? The difference, he said, is not that kids are lazy. They're not lazy. When it comes to the things they want, they're not lazy. They'll be after you to be able to buy that new pair of shoes for $450 because it just came out and all the kids in the school have it, and they will not let you go. So they have determination, they know what they want, and they have energy for what they want. But why is it that they want something and they don't want something else? So the rabbi was explaining to me, Shy, it's because it's not been explained to them in a way that is pleasurable. You understand that we are competing against a world that spends billions of dollars on films, on social networking, and so on. And every single pleasure and everything is at a touch of a button. It's effortless, And therefore, why should I want anything else? The motivation I have is that I have some type of gratification. I have some type of pleasure in my life. So if I would tell you right now, what drive does your child have? What drive? What drives your child? Is there anything in his life that drives him? Why does it drive him? There's a concept of ta'anug, of pleasure. I seek pleasure, and at the same time, I'm trying to avoid pain. What are the pleasures that your children are trying to look for? I'm going to give you an example. There was a young boy, a young man, a young adolescent, that spent like this for 2 years. He was in a depression for something that happened to him. I will not go into the details. And for 2 years, he was completely consumed in his social media account. And he was, it's a dark place. Social media is a dark place because your whole life is being lived for others to validate you. You're the most needy person in the world when you're on social media. You need the LOLs and you need the emojis and you need the encouragement. At the end, you find that it's completely empty. Suddenly, you open yourself. I had a student once which was on social media, and he started. I'm so depressed. Oh, today I didn't take a shower. Who cares? You think people really care? But that's where we are today. But what is a child looking for? What is every single one of us looking for? We're looking for some type of satisfaction. So something has to have meaning for us. When things have meaning, when things are bring us meaning, right? They bring out something inside of us. At that moment, we're ready to move and to do things. But when things are not meaningful, right? You tell your child putting on tefillin, put on tefillin. Why? Why should I put on tefillin? Keep Shabbat. Why? It's not, God forbid, that the child is being a rebel. The child doesn't understand. And I want to tell you that today, children, with the amount of information children have today that we didn't have in the previous generations, I will tell you that I find that kids are more intelligent today than before. They're more intelligent and they're more wasted than before. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So what is our role? Our role is to start having meaningful conversation. All of social media is empty. Movies and the whole entertainment industry is empty. At the end of the day, a person feels empty. What is the most attractive? What is the most attractive part of a person? You know what attracts a person the most? And what is the most pleasurable part of a person? His intellect. I'm sorry, I'm going to say something that really may be out of place. I remember a rabbi, a friend, a father's friend, took me aside and told me, you're getting married soon, you're a young yeshiva boy and you don't know about these things, but do you know what turns on a woman the most? I was, a little shocked. What are you talking to me about? Turning on a woman? I don't know. He said, it's this. It's the brain. If you have something meaningful going on, there's no greater connection than the connection of the brain. These children are intelligent, they're brilliant, they need you to speak to them as brilliant, intelligent people. They need to be looked at in that way. There was a Rosenthal experiment that was made in college where they took a teacher for the first semester and they told the teacher that these children, these boys and girls in the college class, this college course he's giving, are mediocre. They are completely empty. They have no brains. Pea brains. What happened? Most of the kids failed that semester. They took the same class. They brought a new professor. And they told the professor, these kids are so intelligent, so brilliant, you will not be able to catch up to them. Most of the kids excelled in the class. How do you explain that? Well, you can explain it because in the Talmud, in the Talmud of Yevamot on page 117, there's a pasuk. There is a verse from the Proverbs of King Solomon that says, "Kamayim hapanim el hapanim ken lev ha'adam el ha'adam." The same way the face of man reflects in the water, so too the heart of man to man. Explains Rashi in the second his second explanation. He says, "Imein harav masbir panim latalmid, ein hatalmid mahkim merabo, ve'im lav mahkim merabo," which means if the teacher is not pleasant, is not passionate about what he is teaching, he doesn't believe in his student, the student will never become smart, excited, enthused, passionate, intelligent from such a teacher. Which means that our istaklut, our way of looking at our children, is going to bring out what we want of our child. If you look at your child as a little child, babies, today there's no babies, my friends. At 8 years old, what kids know today is way above whatever we knew in our generations, the past generations at 8 years old. It is important that we speak to our children and we have conversations. You want to know what the antidote to the superficiality of the world is? The antidote is pnimiut, depth. Depth brings pleasure. When you have depth, when you have deep conversations with your children, when you talk about every subject, they don't feel intimidated to speak about anything. They don't feel judged to speak about anything. You speak very openly, very sincerely. At the beginning, it's going to be hard because a lot of these kids are just closed up. But once you start opening yourself, you start putting yourself and investing yourself in conversation, in a real conversation, in a real meaningful conversation. At that moment, you're going to create a bond which is much greater. It's going to be a bond at the level of the mind. I enjoy speaking to my parent. I want to tell you personally, I have 4 boys, thank God. And boys especially need their fathers. And, being a rabbi, just building a community, I was so busy sometimes traveling and doing and fundraising and whatever else. So I didn't neglect my boys. And I see that they were, not doing well in school, not emotionally, and this was before social media. And a friend of mine, which is a psychologist, told me, Shy, I was told that it's important for us to spend time. What type of time? You just have walks with your children and you just converse about anything and everything. You don't expect anything. And you try to pick their brain on things or issues maybe you're dealing with in your business, or things that have to do that are in current events, or whatever it is. You understand that when a child, it's just like the brain is like a soil. You're going to work that soil. You're going to ask questions. You're going to ask the child to think, to be intelligent, and you're going to respond. That's what Rashi is telling us in the Gemara. That kamayim hapanim el hapanim ken lev ha'adam el ha'adam. The same way the face reflects in the water, so too the heart of man to man. So when you have a face-to-face conversation with your child, all phones put aside, and you ask them questions, and you show interest, there's something extraordinary that happens chemically. and emotionally in that child, I see I'm validated. What you're saying is interesting. Can we try to sharpen this idea? Maybe there's another way to think about it. It's another experience to have that face-to-face conversations. Today, unfortunately, when you have a conversation with somebody face-to-face, you learn about them, but they learn about themselves. Because if they're going to say something out of place, and you're going to, suddenly your facial expression will stay in their emotional memory and affect them and say, you know what I said was wrong. Today, kids permit themselves to do whatever they want on the phone because nobody is there to show them a reflection with their face. And it could be interpreted in so many ways. That's why kids will share things that they would never dare to share in a public in front of other people. Eventually, when you build this up, then you have kids that speak back to their parents, and they say, just like on social media, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want with my parents as well. And unfortunately, the reaction of the parent in this case is a reaction which is one sometime of despair and giving up. I give up. And the child sees this. The parents, many parents have given up. They just they just turn their head away, they close their face, whatever. What do you mean, whatever? Once you let that child cross this boundary, you are telling the child, I don't care about you. I don't care about what you say. I don't care of how you're growing up. Putting limits on our kids is not a problem. A lot of parents are scared. They're scared. When I say scared, my kid is going to rebel against me. My kid, God forbid, will commit suicide. My kid will leave the house, and so on and so forth. There's all these fears in the parent's mind to the extent that the child feels it. And I want to tell you that children, by nature, are the most manipulative beings that exist. I remember one day, I was discussing with a very, very big principal of many schools here in Florida. And he told me that when his daughter was 4 years old, they were about to clean the room. They need to clean, clean up. Yeah, it's clean the playroom. No, I don't want to clean up. He says, we're going to clean together. Let's do it. Let's start. What happened? Started cleaning the room, and she says to her father, Daddy, I need to go to the bathroom. He says, no. You want to make right here in the playroom. I don't care. You're not going to the bathroom. Now, you're going to say that's very cruel. A child needs to go to the bathroom. They need to go. They cleaned up the room. That 4-year-old child comes to the parent and says, Daddy, if I really needed to go to the bathroom, would you have let me? Now, that's very intelligent. Do you understand what's happening? And the problem is that on one hand, you have these children which are filled with information. They're sponges. And unfortunately, the type of information that they're absorbing from social media is not exactly the educators that you would want for your children. So they have all this nonsense to start with in the world, and they have this whole fakeness of I can make it, in 2 minutes. Look at this guy. He became a millionaire overnight, and he has this car, and he has this pair of shoes, and he has this watch, and he has this, the last thing that came out. So, if he did it, I can do it. If he gets it from his parents, I can get it from my parents. Which means that they're being brainwashed that this is what they need. And afterwards so you already have that problem. That problem is that the children are filling their minds with nonsense. And therefore their vision of the world is a very warped type of vision. Your job as a parent is to help the child understand that he needs to build his own opinion in the world. And you value their opinion. When a child comes with some stupid comment from social media on how life has to be, Don't just say, oh, it's nothing. What are you talking about? Nonsense, stupidity, and just put him down and shut him down. No. Hear him out. Really? Ask him a question. Why do you think this would be correct? What would happen if we applied what you just said to education? What would happen to the next generation? What would you do with your child if he did that or this? Put them to the challenge to start using their brain, to start answering back answers. Oh, Daddy, you can't take my phone away. Really? Why? Start asking questions. Ask them, what are their goals in life? What are their aspirations? You are there to facilitate the child's personal growth. You're not there to do the work for them. And one of the biggest problems too is that many times we don't go through that process of making an effort in conversation. And instead of giving value to effort, we give value to results. Oh, you got 100 on your test. Oh, you're so intelligent. You're the most intelligent. You're the greatest. You're the this. You're the that. Okay. Oh, you did this deal. Wow, incredible. What happens the next year when they have a teacher that's not such a great teacher, or the teacher they don't get along with, and finally they go from 100 plus to 65? I'm a failure. I used to be 100. Now I'm a failure. No. For the child that is able to get 100, that's what you're supposed to expect from them. For the child that's able to reach 80 or 70, that's what you expect from them, and you compliment them for them. Each child is different, but you need to be able to gratify the effort, not gratify the results. I remember one day I had a problem with one of my kids, one of my daughters. And she was taking this entitled type of attitude. So I spoke to somebody, and somebody told me this incredible advice. He said, you have to give them a task that they have to do every day as part of the chores of the house. We don't have help at home, only once a week. And they have to start it and finish it. Okay. I want to tell you, my daughter was completely upset, was so upset at us that she had to clean the kitchen every night. I'm sick and tired of this. Oh, the attitude and the names and okay, no problem. No problem. I'm sick and tired of having to work for you and being your ATM machine as well. Okay? Let's put things. You start a task, you finish the task. What happened after 2-3 months? She says, Mommy, Daddy, look. You see how the kitchen was a mess? Look at the kitchen, how clean and spick and span it is. What you're giving to that child when you give him a task, you give him work, you make him do an effort, you make him earn it himself. You give him self-confidence. I started something. Now it's something small. Today, I want to tell you, she's a very, very successful young lady, married with kids. Obviously, everybody knows who I'm talking about. But it's okay. I hope she doesn't mind. But things happen when you make an effort. The Talmud says, Adam rotze bekav shelo mitisha kabin shel chavero. A person rather have one portion that belongs to him, that he toiled for, that he worked for, than 9 portions that belong to somebody else. And unfortunately, the problem begins when parents are coerced or don't make the effort to resist, and they give whatever the kid wants. So the kid understands, I can have anything I want, however I want. So slowly the monster inside the child grows. That